Hey everybody, it's Jesse, and if you saw the description for this video, it's very vague because today, as you can see, I have my to-do list up and I just need to get through some of this stuff. Normally I try to pick out something that I haven't done before or that I think might be interesting, and I do that during my streaming time, but there's really not much left on the to-do list that I think is really that interesting. The link to this Trello board is in the description. You can check it out. If you see something in one of these three columns that hasn't been done yet that sounds really interesting, let me know in the live chat or even in the comments to the video. If you comment, if you're watching the recording and you comment before I'm done with this site, then maybe I could do it. But for now, I've just been working on some of these. Didn't get to do as much as I had hoped today because I had some meetings this morning and I always don't like when I have a lot of meetings because it just feels like I don't get anything done. I'm sure the important stuff does get done in meetings, but you just can't see it. I'm going to check the live chat here before we get into any code. Hey everybody. A lot of people saying hi in the live chat. Alright. Peter says he usually joins in about an hour after the stream starts, but this time he is early. So awesome. Okay. Okay, Jaden asks, what are you doing now? Alright, so I'll show you what I was just working on right before this stream started. So basically, I was working on this, adding images to the resource section. So I think I streamed some of this before. I mean, we've definitely streamed a lot from that section, that resource page. We're doing a lot on there. So let me show you what I've done. And I'm on, if you're following the GitHub repo, I'm on the branch for called resource images. So this stuff isn't in the master branch yet. It's not live yet. But basically, I just pulled in these images. And everything's working like I wanted it to. I'll show you how I did this in a second. But what I was doing was I was checking the width of the image. And if the image width was less than 600 pixels, then I was not displaying it. Because at some point, I think when you get down to like here, then this image is almost 600 pixels there, so I need it to look good. At some point, it would be nice to optimize it even further maybe and use some responsive images, but that's not really necessary at this point. At least, you know, it's more important just to get the images up at this point than to really be nitpicky about the speed. But here's the problem. When I scroll down here, these images these don't look like they're 600 pixel images. They look all stretched out. And especially, you know, if you zoom in, like you can really tell. So somebody who's looking at this on the small screen, like this. Let me scroll down to here. I mean, look, that's just not, that doesn't look good. Now, this is what I was trying to avoid by setting that limit or that minimum width. So I'm waiting on some information back from the person who uploads the images. So what I'm thinking, basically when I go to look at the data I'm getting from WordPress, which I'll show you here what I'm getting. If there is an image, it shows up like this. So a better featured image, and it gives me the width of the original image. So all of these images are showing that the original image has this width of at least 600 pixels. And then when I go to, let me show you the one that I just showed you that's not really great quality. So this link this will take me to the image, the full image that's supposed to be 666 pixels wide. Okay, look, that's definitely, you know, a wide image. but that's not quality. So what I think happened maybe is that when I had sent an email saying, if you're going to upload pictures, make sure they're 600 pixels wide at least, or they're not going to show up. So what I think happened is they resized the images. So they took the small images and just resized them to 600 pixels and then uploaded them, which of course is not, it's going to look like this. So I'm waiting for confirmation back that is in fact what happened. And if that's the case, I'll just have to provide clear instructions that we don't want the images resized. As soon as I hear back from that, one way or the other, then I can merge this with the master branch and I can make it live. I'm not like thrilled how this looks, so I don't know. Maybe I won't include these images unless I have them for all of these. I don't know. What do you think? To me, like this just looks really weird. That this is very small and these are now huge. Also, I'm not sure about when I go down, to like this size. So this would be more like somebody on their phone. I don't even know if I want to have images on this side. This ends up being a really long scroll. I mean, there's only a few images, but if you can imagine, like, what if most of these had images? You'd be scrolling forever. I'm thinking of maybe just not doing any images for small screens. Load times will be much better, which is great because if you're on your mobile and you're on your data plan, you don't want to load a bunch of images anyway. So let me know what you think about that. I'm still undecided as of yet. So your input would be very much appreciated. All right, so I'm just going to switch to another branch and work on something else until I hear back. So I don't even know if I'll hear back today or if it'll be until next week. So I kind of hoped that I could get this going and get this live today, but we'll see. I definitely don't want it to be live with those images looking like that. So I'm trying to find my console here. So I'm thinking about just switching back. I moved this into like the testing area just so that I know it's basically done. I'm just waiting on some info here. I was thinking about going back to that search bar. So we got this working, and remember there were just a few optimizations that I wanted to make, and I didn't do any styling on the search bar at all. So it doesn't look like I want it to look. So I was thinking about switching back to this branch and just doing that. So if there's any objections to going back and finishing up with this search page, let me know. I know we did spend a while on that before, so if you're tired of that, tell me, and maybe I can find something else to do. Looks like I got a bunch of stuff in the live stream, so I'm going to check the live stream now really quickly just to see if you have some feedback for me before we start. Okay, so Azhar says, is Fabian here today to save Jesse? And yeah, in case you haven't seen the past few streams, Fabian, and I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing your name right, Fabian, so if you hear this, let me know, because he's from Paris, so maybe it's more like Fabien or something like that. I don't really know. He did save me. He submitted a pull request and was just awesome. And his way to deal with the problem I was dealing with was way better than my way, and it worked. And then he actually joined in the next day in the stream, and basically step by step like coached me through how to get the search function to work. So super helpful. But I don't know if he's here today. He hasn't said anything in the live chat, so we'll see. Hopefully he is here. And a lot of the stuff I'm going to be doing today isn't like super difficult stuff, so I don't think I'll get stuck to the point where I'm totally lost. Mamadou says, hello, what is it about this live? I'm not sure what you're asking, so if you can clarify that for me, that would be great, and I'll try to answer. Okay, Rohan says, you put images on the left or right side, or just color the card the color of the image. Philippe says, why not make the images only appear when you hover the mouse? Okay, that's possible. You should add hyperlinks for the images. David says you should add hyperlinks. Rohan thinks it would be too abrupt to add the hover. Oh, Vinay said made a few fixes for FUS Marcom. Okay, so we got another pull request. I will check that out. I'll check that out after the stream. Let me know what parts of the site are they fixes for, because if you could just quickly let me know in the live stream, that way I won't try to mess with them right now and do the work that you've just done. But I really appreciate that, and I will check that out as soon as I'm done. Oh, John says use Flex Justify to stretch, justify content stretch to fill the heights, and then change with media queries. I actually was doing something like that before. I wasn't using Flex because the way that I have the cards now in the columns, it didn't work right. Basically, like I should say it was easier. I don't know. I'm not. It's hard for me to describe how I did it. But basically, I did something very similar to that. John's suggestion was to like fill the heights and make them the same height. So I might go back to that if I'll see. I'll play with some stuff. Like I said, but I'm not going to mess with it anymore until I hear back about what's going on with those images. All right, thanks, Vinay. Yeah, I figured you added a description in the pull request. Vinay says he added a description. I just wanted, just a very quick, what are they about? Because I didn't want to go over the request during the live stream. Wow. Okay. Awesome, Vinay. It seems like he did a lot of stuff. I'm definitely going to check that out. Please, Wahaj says, please add some black UI. Where you want to add the black UI? Andres asks about the Trello power up. Oh yeah, the Trello power up is. I added it so long ago, I don't even remember what it was. Let's see what I have activated. It's not even. Why is it not showing up? You know what? Maybe it's not a power up. Maybe it's this might be a browser plugin. Let's see. Alright, it's called Burn Down for Trello. And I think it's actually a browser plugin and not a power up in Trello. So I'm using the free version. That works for me. Full version lets you do cool stuff with charts, like burn down charts and things. Alright, so let me get to work. I'm going to do this. There were no objections that I saw to working on the search, so I'm going to go to that. That's probably is the most technically challenging thing on the list right now. So maybe that would be more appealing to everyone, especially for those of you who are a little bit more advanced. It would be more appealing. Some of this other stuff is just really basic. So let me switch to that branch. There we go, the live search. Okay, so switch to the live search branch. And I always get weird. I said not always. I often get an error when I try to switch branches. There we go. And I just need to manually refresh. I think it's something with the hot module reloading. Messes up when I switch. So we got the resources page. Here's our search bar. In case you didn't see when we made this search bar, basically as soon as we search for anything, we have like a live search. So let me search for something that's legit. Okay, so we have, this actually is, I've typed in the first part of this name, so it actually shows up there. And then not only that, if I clicked on these, it would keep whatever I searched for, and then I could sort by these same categories. So it keeps all the sorting. I thought I added a min height. Maybe I just talked about adding a min height and didn't do it. I think I did add it to Trello though. So actually, that's a good one to start with. I can at least get something checked off the list. Let me see. Let me see if I added this. I guess I didn't. I didn't even add it to Trello, so I probably just forgot about it completely. Maybe that was one of the days where I had to leave like immediately or go to a meeting immediately after the stream. There was one stream where I really pushed it and I ended the stream at like 2:59 and I had a meeting at 3 and I had to just run over. Alright, so basically I want to add, here's what I want to do, and this is easy. I don't like that when I type something in and there's nothing, it just totally shrinks up like this. So I'm going to add a min height. I remember some other suggestions about animating this transitions, but for now I'm just going to add a min height because, as I mentioned before in an earlier project, it's getting to the point where I need to be done. I think people higher up than me, my bosses and their bosses, are thinking like, why is this project dragging on? They haven't said it like that, but that's the feeling that I'm getting. So I need to just finish it up. And I don't want to spend like 13 hours a day like I was doing trying to get this finished. So I gotta just use some judgment on what's really necessary and what's just kind of more nitpicky to do. So let me go to the code here where I'm at, resources, and I am using next. Also, I'm not watching the live chat like really diligently right now, so I'm gonna be going back and forth, but I'd like to maybe complete a task and then go back to the chat and just go back and forth like that for maybe like an hour or 45 minutes, and then I'll go back to the chat and I'll answer questions. Let's see. Actually, yeah, today as I'm looking for this, I'm going to fill you in on some of the stuff that's been happening here. Since this show is about just the day-to-day job that I'm doing as a front-end developer, so I like to fill you in on some of the other stuff that happens when I'm not live streaming, just to give you a better picture of what my job is like. I don't really know if my job is a good example of what front-end developers' jobs are normally like or not. I work at a university, so I imagine a lot of universities do need developers for their sites, so in that sense it's maybe like that, but probably not like a tech company would have. I think this is the column, the row that we need. I actually need more than the row. I like the section to have a... So if you haven't worked with React before, this is going to freak you out to put the CSS right here, but I'm going to do it here. I could also put it here. Okay, so I have been using this, style JSX tag, and I can write the CSS just like regular CSS in here. But if I'm going to do something to just one element, I usually just put it inline. There's no point in me just doing it down here if it's only applying to one element. At least that's the way I feel. It's easier for me to see immediately what's happening because it's right here. I don't have to look at the class and then go down here and figure it out. So I'm sure there are other opinions and pros and cons to doing it a different way, but that's how I'm going to do it. So I can just type in style, and I'm explaining this in case there might be some people watching that aren't familiar at all with React or anything. So I'm kind of explaining some things that I know I've explained before. It might be some basic to some of you who are more advanced. So just kind of bear with me. Alright, so we're going to go style, and we're going to start with our brackets here, and these curly brackets mean, in a React component, this means that we're going to write some JavaScript. We're telling React, like, hey, expect JavaScript now. And then inside of that, I have more curly brackets. So since we're in JavaScript land inside of here, this simply means, hey, this is an object, right? That's normal. You know, you put the curly brackets, it's an object. So when you want to write CSS in your component, you do it, at least in Next, you do it like this. I'm not sure if it's like this by default for React or this is a Next thing. Let me know, because I haven't done a lot with React when I'm not using Next with it as well. I've tried some stuff, but Webpack just crushed me the first time I tried it, so I didn't really get very far. So I want to go min height. Oops. And when you're doing it in here, you can camel case it. So pretty much every I haven't run into any CSS attributes that I couldn't camel case and make it work. Just in case you don't want to camel case, you don't like that, I could put this in quotes and just use it like normally. But I think the camel case is fine. Once you get used to it, it's all right. But I can understand if you're going back and forth between regular CSS and this, it could be confusing. So you might want to just stick to it. Now the second property, you usually want to put quotes around it. I'm not sure. You may be able to get away with putting the number, like just a straight number value without quotes, but I just always use the quotes no matter what, even if I don't have to. I'm going to give this maybe 500 pixels and just see. I kind of feel like we already played with this a little bit, and then I just forgot the value that we settled on. But we'll try 500 pixels at first, and this will just be a nice demonstration. See? So not nearly the same type of jarring transition. Could probably get away with doing a little bit higher, but I'm alright with that. Oh, you know what? We need to make one more change. And we made this last time. And see, this is a good example of when you make a change like in DevTools and then you put it off actually coding it, then you have to do it all over again. And that's exactly what happened here. On maybe a few days ago, we did a video and I made all these changes, but I only did them in DevTools and then I didn't code them. So at least I remember what I had to do, but this could have been a lot of wasted effort if I didn't go back to this for a couple of weeks and just totally forgot. So basically, I'm vertically aligning whatever's in this container, and I'm using the framework that I'm using for the UI is Materialize. It's a material design framework, and it has this nice class here. Well, these two classes, the v-align wrapper and then v-align, and then anything in this container is vertically aligned. So that's really nice. That's cool because it's based on Flex. So browsers that don't support Flex, it won't work with. So like if you view the site right now in Internet Explorer 11, none of the vertical align works. Everything just goes right to the top. But I'm not super worried about supporting Internet Explorer 11 right now. Based on the analytics that we have for a lot of our other sites, we have very few visits from people using Internet Explorer 11, so it's not really it's not a good use of my time to optimize anything for Internet Explorer at this point. So that should fix it. So if we go back, yep, now everything's at the top. It'll stay at the top. We don't get, there we go. Very nice. And at least much nicer than before. I think Rohan gave the suggestion to animate this, and I mentioned before, but I think that's an awesome suggestion. But like I said, that's kind of nitpicky. I'm not sure how many people will even be upset about that transition. So if I do get time, I will definitely put it in. If not, it won't make it. Although Rohan, if you really want to, you can submit a pull request to do that. I don't expect anybody to take their time to work on this for me, but if you want to, then I really appreciate it. So the next thing we need to do is figure out how we want this to look. Right now I have it taking up half, but I want it to... My idea was I was going to have a drop down as well. So there would be a search and then there'd be a drop down, and the drop down would have like basically the equivalent of what tags would be normally, like in a blog. Like in a WordPress blog, you have categories and tags. Since we have these already, and these basically act as like the broad categories, that's okay. I mean, that works, but the people that I'm making the site for had in mind kind of a drop down with some categories that were focused on the content. So these are the type of content, but something that was focused more on the content itself, like, you know, what the topic is. So I don't know that I'm going to add that in right now. Number one reason basically being we have not decided on what the topic should be. So I'm not putting in a drop down if there's nothing to go in the drop down. And I don't really want to go through right now and try to pick out topics. I don't think that's really, it's not really what I should be doing. I think someone else more familiar with all of this content could do a better job than I can. So I'm going to wait on that. I'll probably let somebody else know about it. And at that point, maybe I can add this. I kind of want to see what this would look like if it was all the way across. I think it might look weird on a wider screen. I don't know. What do you think? Would it be better to put it all the way across? That'll look fine on a smaller screen. Maybe, all right, here's my idea right now. Let me know what you think. On a large screen, it's just going to go halfway like this. On a small screen, it's going to be all the way across. Also, is this clear enough that you can search here, or do you think do I need an icon? Should I throw in a little search icon in here, or are the words search plain enough here? Also, I definitely need to change this color. This was the default color that I've added. I have like kind of a little starter theme just for styles that I use for all my projects, and this is one of the university's official colors. But this site doesn't use university colors because it's like a separate, it's part of the university, but it's kind of a separate undertaking in some ways. So they get to use a different color palette. All right, I'm going to check the live chat really quick to see what you all think about this before I make any changes. Okay, so Mamadou, it's Mamadou. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Please let me know how to pronounce that so I can do it right. I don't want to keep mispronouncing it. If I am. Clarified the earlier question. He says, I mean, what is he coding for? So I'm coding for. I work at a university, so I'm coding a website for one of the endeavors of the university. It's kind of like a new department thing that they've started. They have this other company that's creating a learning management system from scratch based on Drupal for people to be able to get like certifications. So they're not going to get a full degree, but they can get a certification through this online learning management system that they're building. The website that I'm coding is kind of like the marketing informational site that people can go to before they're directed to the actual learning management system, and at that point they can sign up for an account and pay for it and do courses and stuff. So that's what I'm coding right now. SR says, I think you should now start coding. You're getting late. I agree. Thanks for the reminder. If you've watched any of my shows, you know I can talk a little bit and not code. Wahaj says, change your nav bar on top. It looks really old. You mean like this nav bar, like this sticky nav that's kind of floating here, is that, or like the whole one, the whole thing here? I'm not going to disagree with you about certain design elements. This site is a mix of design elements that were in a site that was built previous to this, or at least partially built, and some design elements that I added. So I will say not all the design decisions on this site were from me. I did have to compromise on a lot of things. But if you have suggestions and I can change them, I will change them. But I don't have the freedom to change the design to whatever I want. At least not without having more meetings and discussion. So, but I'm definitely interested in like Wahaj and maybe you explaining more what you mean and how I could change it. Rested asks, which framework are you using for that? It's Materialize is the like CSS JS framework, and then I'm using React, but particular Next.js to like scaffold the React app. Oh, Patrick says, isn't there supposed to be a visual representation of what page you're on in the nav bar? It doesn't seem like it is working. Actually, no, I didn't build that in, the visual representation. It is on my list, though. Or at least I remember it being... Maybe... Right now, it's not like that. I could make it like that. And maybe I should. Maybe I should put that on the list. That would be helpful. So maybe that'll go on the list. I don't know if that'll be... my boss is kind of reviewing my list right now to see like what things actually need to get done and what can kind of just be left off. So I don't know if that'll make it onto what needs to be done, but that's probably a good idea. In regard to the case for the CSS, like that I was talking about here when I was putting it inline in React, Patrick says the React way to do it is camel case. Okay. All right. Rohan says he'll do the pull request. So awesome. Thank you. And don't feel like you have to do it tomorrow. If you don't get to it, that's fine. I mean you don't have to do it at all if you don't want to. Bill says, I think the search icon would be a good idea. Oh, awesome. Bill actually sent me a link to the site he's going with next as well, and it's awesome. I was really impressed with the code. Bill, I like how you were making API calls in your server.js file, like where I was doing it in the component, like in the page, in the get initial props. You're doing it on the server. I was really kind of checking that out. I'd like to know, you don't have to answer me now, you could like message me on Twitter, but I'd like to know your reasoning behind that. What's the benefit of doing it like that? And also, how does that work? Like, let's say if you were going to do a live search thing like this, where all these calls to the API are being made like within the component, like on the client side. How would that work? Would I have? Is there any way to do this differently? I don't know. I just kind of want your thoughts on that because I'm really intrigued by it, and I like the idea of using the URL to the WordPress backend, making that an environment variable, and kind of like hiding it. I don't really need to hide it for most of my sites, but if I ever did, I'm going to keep that in mind. Seems like everybody's saying go for the icon. So let's go with the icon. John's saying also maybe a box shadow underneath the line. Okay, Rowan's saying sticky nav could be a bit bigger. It looks kind of weird. Okay. And let's see. Robot Villa says the UX guideline text plus icon enhances usability. All right, thanks for that. You're right. You are right about that. I will add that. And John says 75% length would look better. All right, so let me just sum up the suggestions here and let's do it. So for sure we need to add a search icon. Okay, everybody is on board with that. We've had a suggestion to make this 75% instead of half. And then also a slightly unrelated suggestion was make the text in the white background section to be aligned center. All right, actually, I will say this. There was quite a controversy over how to align these sections. So I'm not going to mess with the alignment of this right now just because there was finally consensus among all the people involved in the project of, and the conclusion ends up being the home page, the first section on the home page will be center aligned, and on every other page it will be left aligned, and everything will be left aligned. So that's one of those decisions that I'm not going to revisit. I'm just going to leave it as it is at this point because there are so many opinions about it. But I appreciate the saying that. All right, so let me throw in an icon here. I'm loading. I think I'm loading the material icons, but I'd rather use an inline SVG icon. I like using those better, and then that way I can just not load the rest of the material design icons and use just the ones I want. So I'm going to do it like that. And I think I used this in a project recently. I'm trying to remember what project it is so I can just grab the code. It'll probably be faster for me to just get it. So let's go to material icons. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to grab the code from the SVG, so like the SVG tag, and I'm going to stick it right in there. If anybody knows of a reason why that's not a good idea, let me know. I've been doing it on a lot of sites lately. I haven't had any issues with like browsers not being able to display that, but if there is some issue that I just haven't figured out yet and you know about it, please let me know. The alternative would be loading like a font icon set and just using the font icon. So usually I just go here to material icons, I select SVG, and it downloads it. It looks like I've already downloaded this, but I'll do it again because it's just going to be faster. And then I open it. I would rather it not open in the browser because then I don't have to view the source. But this gives me a nice SVG. I know that's super small. It'll get bigger when I paste it in. So that gives me a nice SVG tag, and I can put it in here. So I can put it directly in here in the label, and we'll see it in a second. It'll need some extra styling, but at least you'll see. Actually, it's probably not. Is it going to work? I may have to change some of the fill height VLOX with. Maybe not. I'll have to see. Sometimes you have to change the attributes because they don't work in React like as you would normally use them. So we'll see if it. All right, it worked. I'm not getting. I would have gotten like the pink screen with an error if it didn't work. So I just could not remember. Obviously, I'm going to change the color of this. It's going to be more gray, but. What do you think about the entire search icon going up like that? I don't know that I like that. I don't even know that I like it right here. Would it be better on the end? I mean, this obviously is the easiest way to do it. Let me know. I'm going to change the length of this while I give you all a chance to weigh in on where you think this should go. In Materialize, they have this column classes similar to Bootstrap or other frameworks. So I'm just going to give this a column class of, let's see, 9, and that'll give me that 75%. But I also want to do that on medium screens, and on a small screen I want to do 12. So you can see it's pretty easy to handle columns. It's just small screen. It's a 12 column layout, so 12 means full width. And then obviously for 12 columns, 3/4 of 12 columns, 75% is 9. So we should see, there we go. Okay, so now we have that 75% length here. Let me know what you all think about that, if that's okay. And when we get to, it should be 600 pixels or less. Yep. Then we get it all the way across. So, not bad. Actually, you know what I want to test, and I totally forgot about this. Right now we're searching on KeyUp, but will that work on mobile? Let me know if you've dealt with this before. Do KeyUp events even fire on mobile, like on that virtual keyboard or not? I mean, I'll be able to test it and find out. So it's not a big deal if you don't know, you know. But if you happen to be on your phone or have your phone on you and would like to test, actually you can't because this isn't live yet. So I'll have to wait and test it, or at least just look it up. All right. So the delay on the video is probably it's probably been enough time that you've heard my question about this. So I'm going to check the live chat. Okay, so Rowan says the font icon is usually too big and not worth it for just one icon. Yeah, I agree. Why load all those icons if you just need a few of them? That's why I'm using these SVGs. I've also had issues with certain browsers not displaying my font icons, especially when I've used Font Awesome for icons. I don't know if any of you have had the same issue, but occasionally I actually had somebody look at one of my sites and left some really nasty messages on the university's Facebook page. There was a post that was linking to the particular site I did and was like super upset that the font icons wouldn't work and claiming that we didn't know what we were doing. Which, I don't know, maybe I didn't know what I was doing, but it had worked on all the other browsers I tested. So anyway, I've decided to kind of get away from using full font icon sets and just using SVGs because I've had more luck with SVGs working. John recommends making sure the SVG code is simplified and clean. Yeah, definitely. I don't need all that stuff in the SVG, so that might be worthwhile to just do on the live stream in case somebody hasn't worked with SVGs. So let me see which ones. I don't think I need this. I'm just going to pull stuff out and see if it breaks because that makes for a good educational experience, right? Yep, see, okay, that works. So we don't need that. This SVG is already actually really small, so you know, it's not like I'm saving that much, but there are some SVGs that are huge and have all kind of extra stuff that aren't needed, so it's definitely worthwhile to shrink them down. So do I need fill? I don't think I need this either. Let's take that out and see what happens. Oops, I keep doing that. Oh, I guess I do need that. So alright, I'm not sure if I can take, like, I could take some of these out and just use CSS to put them in, but I mean, I'm using inline CSS anyway, so I don't really see the point in taking this out and then just writing style and putting it back in style. So I will change this to be the same color as the text, so I might as well do that right now. Let's see what color I'm using for this text. The inspect thing just opened on my other screen, so if you're wondering where that's at, but all I'm doing really is just grabbing the color. Actually, I don't like how that color's done. Let me show you what's going on. The color here is like a hex value for gray. I don't like that. If you look at the material design documentation, they recommend never using just gray for text. They recommend using black, but having it be slightly transparent. So I'll show you. So instead of that gray, like, let's just do black. right? So we've done black, and then we'll go in and let's set it to, actually this should do it. All right, so we'll set it to like, I think 57 is one of the values that they recommend. So I'm just going to set it to 57, right? So now the text is like this. The reason that they recommend doing that is that it becomes much more readable. So I wish I had a side-by-side of like both texts. I don't, but you have to take my word for it right now, or at least take Google's word for it right now. It actually is true. Your text becomes much more readable if you use black, or this also on the flip side could work. I guess it just works with black and gray. I was trying to think of other colors where this might also be the case, but I think it's just black and gray. That the black with some transparency is better than just using the hex color for gray. So I'm actually going to switch that. I thought I had switched that already in like my main CSS file, and I edited the materialize file, but I guess I didn't. Maybe I did it on a different project and just didn't carry it over. So let me fix that now. I'll show you. This is within materialize, and input field label. Let's change this. I kind of don't want to edit the materialize file directly because then if I update the version, it's going to overwrite all my changes. So I'm going to add this to my own like CSS file. And actually, let me copy all of this because that'll be easier, and I can just take out the stuff that I don't need, and then just kind of override what's happening here. I'm sure there's other places where this is happening as well. So they're also doing it here. So let me change that right now. And my CSS is a bit of a mess right now. I've been kind of slowly working to move a lot of it into the components, but as you can see, I still have a lot here. I could probably get rid of some of it because I've already moved it over. But for now, I don't know. I'm just going to put this at the bottom because I don't want to take a lot of time to think about my structure right in the middle of the live stream. So I'm just going to copy that or paste it, and all we really need is that first part. And also, if you saw in the in DevTools, it was like this for all the labels. So I'm going to go ahead and just use this as well. So we may not even use this for anything else on the site, but in case we do, that works now. So the hot module reloading doesn't work with like a separate CSS file, so those changes require a manual refresh, at least for the way I have everything set up. I'm sure you could probably use something like live reload or something like that. I know there's a way you can use gulp with Webpack and have it all work, but for this site I did not set it up. Let me restart my dev server. So normally, in case you haven't seen this happen to me before, it happens frequently. Normally you shouldn't have to restart your server, and I've never had this happen on another site where I've been building with React and Next. For some reason, I don't know what I did, but I've messed something up, and it requires me to frequently restart. So I'm not blaming Next for this. I'm sure it was something that I did. But just so you know, that's not normally supposed to happen. Alright, I'm going to go back and check the live chat because I never did get around to figuring out where we should put this thing. Also, we can't forget to change this color. Alright, so down Downloader said the search icon should not move. Rohan says it should be fixed. Also, it'd be nice if you moved it to the right, put it on the right, keep search fire text, but it should be persistent. All right, so it looks like it is unanimous. It is unanimous that the search icon should be over here, and it should not move. Actually, I like that idea, and I think if it turns out that the key up event doesn't register for the virtual keyboard on a mobile device, then I'm going to make it so that when you click on this icon, it runs a search as well. And then that way we'll cover that. So I think there's definitely value in having this at the end. That's actually what I've done. When I've put in search bars in other sites that I've done, I usually do put it over here. So, yeah, who else? Cronus says, looks bad, honestly. I appreciate your honesty, and I agree. TK Tran says, I think M6 looked better, so 50% looked better. Okay, thanks for that. I don't know, what do you think? Do you think 50% look better? Obviously, if I do add in the drop down at some point, it's going to look better to have it, half and half, I'm sure. Okay, Robot Villa icon should be a bit bigger and gray. Yeah, okay, bigger as well. I was definitely going to do the gray. I would make it bigger as well. Bill says, I'll follow up in Twitter chat in more detail, but my main issue had been when getting initial props fires from client side, I was getting mixed content errors. No SSL on WordPress site. Oh, okay. All right, so Bill was responding to my earlier question. Thanks for responding, and thanks for following up with that. So, yeah, I was super interested in that, so I'll talk to you more about that on Twitter. Wahaj agrees with Robot Villa. Oh, okay. Bill says he left the the API logic out of the actual components, and it could keep the front end cleaner and more reusable. I like that idea. Okay, Patrick has linked something on Stack Overflow about the input, so let's check that out really quickly. I'm assuming this is about the the mobile the key up thing. So let's check this out, because if we can get an answer for this right now, then we can actually fix it, make sure it works on mobile the way we need it to. So I've searched it on my other screen. You all, I'm sure, know how Stack Overflow works, so I don't think I need to show it. Nice. Okay. So basically the answer is, now that I'm looking at this, I'm pretty sure this is the same Stack Overflow article I looked up the last time I built a site like this, and I just had totally forgotten. So I am going to bring this over just to show you all. We have this key up and input. Okay, so the key thing is the input. Input works both on desktop and mobile. Also, this is another answer. It didn't get. I'm not sure why this didn't get selected either. jQuery method. This is for jQuery, but I'm assuming there's probably a React equivalent to this. So we'll have to we'll test that out. Although I wish I had. Maybe I can do it. I'll do like a simulator for an iPhone and test it. Usually when I'm not building in React and I'm building like a static site, I use I have everything set up with Gulp, and it's like, is it Live Reload or Browser Watch or something? And it actually gives you an IP that you can look at on your phone while you're developing, which is really cool. But that's not how Webpack is set up. It probably can do it, I just don't know how. Okay, Julio says, sorry for the question, but I'm interested to know if Jesse is a designer with programmation skill or is a programmer with design skills. Good question. I would consider myself to be a programmer with some design skills. So if you've watched my videos and disagree, feel free to say something, but I do have a lot of opinions about how design should look, and I'm very concerned about how things should look. But I don't consider myself a designer at all. But I will say, where I work, there are no web designers that work with me, so I do have to do that job as well. My title is front-end developer, but I imagine I probably do a lot more design than a front-end developer would normally have to do if they were working, kind of with a proper team. Where they had somebody doing back end, somebody doing design, and all that. So, all right, let's get back to this. Let's move this over here and make it the same color as our text here. So let's do the color first because that's the easiest thing. We can just grab this color and let's put it. Oh yeah. Resources. I wonder if the fill. I don't know. I'm just going to try this, but I don't know if it'll work. I don't know if you can pass a color in like this into this fill or not, but it's worth a shot. Alright, awesome. That works. Good to know. And now we're going to move this over. So we're going to have to move the code around because everything inside this label is going to move. So the easiest way to make that stop moving is just to move it outside of the label. And now we need to I didn't get it all. Where are we going to put this? So we want it still in the input, but outside of the label. Let's put it here and see how it goes. Oops. Normally when I work, I have things in like different views. I've just done it like this, so it's easier to, actually, let me do this. Since I keep doing this anyway on accident, shoot, I put it down. Actually, that might work. Yeah, that'll probably work right there. I'll just have to do some positioning. So I haven't done any real like CSS work in a while, so this will be nice. Let me shoot. As soon as I made this full screen, now I have a reason to make it half screen again. So let's make it half screen and bring this in because I want you all to be able to see what I'm doing in DevTools. I'll have to make DevTools a bit bigger so you can see. So we'll keep this screen pretty small, and then so we have a little bit more space here. Alright, so here's our SVG. We want to position this here. So let's see. Oops. Position absolute. So I'm going to go position absolute, and let's go left 8 pixels. No, I mean, sorry, right 8 pixels, 16. Let's see how 16 looks, and then we need it to come down from the top. So let's guess 10 pixels? Nope, I needed some more. Down more. I also want to make this bigger as well, so I should probably change the size before I settle on this. So let's just see what'll happen if let's go with width. Oops. I'm just gonna do 48. Right. auto. Okay. So check that out. In case you're not really used to doing CSS stuff, notice when I put the width, nothing happened until I set height to auto. Let's see. I think that looks all right there. I want it to be, I don't want it to be too small because it needs, I guess, I don't know. I still don't know whether I'm going to make it like tappable for a search. So, but in case I do, I want it to be big enough so that it's reasonable to tap it. But if it's too huge, like it's just not going to fit. You know, we don't really have a large font going on right now, so need it to fit. Let me know if you think that's too big. And now if you see we do this and it stays still. Alright, so now I'm just going to move this to my other screen so I could see it when I put this over on my SVG. I could probably get rid of these, so since I've already set the width and height with the style. Okay, and I think I'm already at 3 o'clock, so I don't want to go. We talked yesterday saying it'd be better to keep the streams to like an hour or less, so this will probably be the last thing I do before I go back to the questions. So seems like I didn't get a whole lot done, but I did find some things that I didn't even expect to be doing and changed it. So got some things done, but just things I didn't think I would even have to do. So I kind of don't want to put this right here. So because this is... So I said before that I usually like to put it in line if it's not really a lot, but if it's a lot of attributes that I have to add, or you know, a lot of CSS, I don't like to add it in here because it just gets huge. So I'm gonna go down here. I only have input, so we should be able to get this if I just go to input field SVG. That should be good. That's should cover us in case we put another SVG on the page somewhere. And let's go to looks like I never closed that out, so let's close that out, right? Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I never closed that out. Okay. And now I'm going to add input field SVG. And let's copy all our styles over. The other good thing about this is I can just copy them over exactly as they were because I can write it just plain CSS inside of this. In case you're not sure what's going on here, like let's just take a look. We have a style tag. We've added this JSX, which tells it like, hey, this is not a normal style tag. Something's going to happen in here. And now we have our curly brackets. So if you remember from earlier in React, you see these curly brackets. That means, okay, we're going to do JavaScript now. Now it might get confusing for you if you're not familiar with template literals, because this all doesn't look like JavaScript, right? It's CSS. So what we've done in here is we use a template literal. When you see one of these in JavaScript, this is a newer type of thing. It's ES6 or ES 2015. Everything within this template literal basically is considered a string. There's really easy ways to put JavaScript in. So if I went like this, you can see like, hey, it's JavaScript. So just to show you, like, I'm getting a different syntax highlighting when I do stuff like this. So anyway, that would be JavaScript in there, and I could put it right in here, right in the string. I don't have to put plus signs or anything. So that's what's going on here. So it looks crazy at first, but if you think about it, it makes sense. Like, we're dropping into JavaScript and we're putting everything basically as a string, but since we're using the template literal string, we can put all the spaces, have it on multiple lines, and it all just works. And then because we have this JSX in the style tag, behind the scenes, this is all getting added in to these elements. So when it actually comes out on the other end, I'll save this and we'll see what's going on here. Let me bring in DevTools. Right, so now this is that same SVG, but beforehand, let me get rid of this stuff because this is what we typed in DevTools, so we don't, we're getting rid of all that. And we can see, like, now we have this data-JSX, and we just have this long number. Okay, so it's giving this its own unique number. And then on this side here, we can see we have input field, and then this data JSX number, right, for our input field, which is here. And then it's saying, any SVGs within that input field that have this number get all this. So you can see it's very specific when it does that. It's definitely not going to mix it up and put something else in there. I mean, look how many digits are in this number. Like, that's going to cover all your elements for sure. That's how it works. So pretty, I don't know, I think that's pretty cool that, it kind of automatically does all that for you. And as we can see, just so that it's working. All right, see, we have all the styles that we want, and you already saw that I took these styles off, so the ones we did in DevTools. So this is working just like we wanted it to work. The only other thing that we wanted to change was the color, and so let me hover this. No, it's not that. The input needs to be hovered, right? Or focus, that's what it needs to be. Focus. Okay. So focus, our focus color here, we need to change these, and we need to change the label color as well. So I guess I'll just copy this. There's actually a place, if I was using the SAS version of Materialize, you can download SAS Materialize with the SAS version of the files all split out, or the CSS version. Since I don't have like a SAS compiler running right now, I just went with the straight CSS version. But in the SAS version, there's actually a variable that can set this color. This is the secondary color variable. And then I would only have to change it once and it would work. But unfortunately, that's not how I had it set up. So I will have to change this in a few places. And let me do that in my... I'm going to actually do this in the CSS because... Where it's at? I thought I had my CSS running. I must have closed... No, yeah, I did. There we go. I'm going to do it in here. And, well, I guess I got to decide on a color, huh? Let's decide on a color. Do we want red? I really don't want red. That usually signifies, like, hey, there's an error. What other color are we using? How about this? How about I use the same color I'm using for this this icon? We'll see how it looks. I don't really have... The main colors on the site are really just red, black, and white. And this is the only alternate color that I think I'm using on the whole site. And this is actually in the university's official color palettes. This is the only color, the only time we're using university colors on this whole site is for this color. Okay, so let's throw this in. And sorry, I haven't been paying attention to live chat just because I know we were running out of time and I really wanted to at least have a finished task for this video. Oops. Oh, I gotta refresh it. Okay, so you can see here's the color. I didn't change it for that yet. We can do that now. Oops, where am I at? I have my DevTools open here, so I'm trying to get to this section. Input field, focus, and label. Focus. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna copy this, and all I was doing on the other screen was basically the exact same thing I just did with this. I just found this code in DevTools and copied and pasted it. So if we refresh, that should be working as well. Yep, and that works. So I don't know that I love that color, but I'm not sure if I have another color that I'm using now on the page which would be appropriate other than black. I don't really want to go with black. So there we go. I think basically accomplished everything that we wanted to. The only thing I might do is I don't know, we had some mixed opinions about the length of this line, so maybe I'll move it back. I'll see what I think. Yeah, but that's it. I mean, style-wise, that's good to go. Performance-wise, there's some optimizations that I wanted to make, but they're not like critical. I don't absolutely have to do them before this goes live. All right, let me check the live chat now. Sorry, I've been neglecting it for so long, but let me try to figure out where I left off at. I'm sure there's a lot of good suggestions that I was missing along the way. Oh, okay. So we had a suggestion. Downloader said you could try to leave the current size of search input, so 75%, but then center it. I'll think about that. Oh, okay. Julio asked, your title is? Didn't hear that. Sorry, I didn't see that that remark. So if you're still watching, because that was a little while ago that you said that, my title is front-end developer. So that's officially, I'm a front-end developer for university. So that's what it says on the plaque outside my door. Rohan says, if you're connected to the same network and don't have devices isolated, you can just connect to your PC's local IP and the port to view it on mobile. Oh, okay. I'll have to try that. Good to know. Diony, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, so sorry if I did it wrong. It's Diony. It says, hey Jesse, my company I'm interning for just put me on to free code camp after completing Code Academy, and I love programming. Keep up the good work. Oh, awesome! Thank you for the positive feedback there. I really appreciate that, and good luck with all your endeavors on Code Academy, and free code camp. So looks like you say you completed Code Academy. So awesome! Keep up the good work. Okay, Downloaded It has offered some advice to vertically centering the icon. Actually, I kind of think I think it looks okay like that. I don't think I'm going to need to vertically center it after we made it. That comment might have came like before I got it all positioned. So I'm okay with it just being kind of statically just centered here. So thank you for the suggestion though. Rohan suggests 24 pixels. I'm assuming that means this icon 24 pixels. Maybe I'll play with that a little bit later on. I'm not going to go back to it now. I'm just going to handle these questions, but I will. I'm like I'm kind of thinking this is just like slightly too big. Yeah, I don't know. I get the feeling like I said, I'm not really a designer, so I couldn't explain to you like reasoning behind this. But to me, like just my gut says it's just a little too big. Francesca says looks good. I love that name, Francesca. I got a cousin named Francesca, so awesome name. John says, does Pug work in React? I love Pug. Okay, yeah, I like Pug too. I worked with Pug sometimes back when it used to be called Jade, and then they got like threatened to be sued by some other company that evidently has a copyright for the word Jade, which is crazy because, like, come on, Jade is like should not be a copyrightable word. It's a legit, it's like a very common word, Anyway, so they had to change the name to Pug. I don't really know if Pug works in React, so sorry if anybody else knows. Please let John know if Pug works with React. Bill says in regard to being able to check out dev site on your mobile phone. Check out ngrok, that's Ngrok, to be able to forward your local host beyond your network. Oh, you know what? I feel like a really big idiot right now because on a previous live stream, I actually demonstrated how to view your dev site on your phone, and I just totally forgot about it. So if you can connect, like I have the Google like Pixel phone, so it takes a USB-C cord, but I think pretty much any phone now you could get a cord that can connect it to your computer, right? So you connect it to your computer and you open up DevTools, and let me just bring this over just to show you, like, if we go to remote devices, I don't have it connected right now because the spot where my cord reaches is right where my mic is, and I'll have a lot of static like I had a few live streams ago because of my phone. So basically, if you would plug this in, you would see your device right here, and you could do some like debugging right here on your device, but also you can port forward. So I could forward, I actually am already doing it. I already added the port forwarding. So I plug this in. I say localhost 3000 is now going to be localhost 8080 on my phone. I type in localhost 8080 on my phone while it's plugged in, and I can see it. So my brain just was like totally not working at that point. But thanks for all the other suggestions for everybody that suggested. In case for some reason this is not going to work for you, or maybe like you have other people that aren't able to actually plug in to your computer but on your network, then you might want to set it up in some other way. Rohan says a tad smaller and a bit more to the left. So it could go a bit more to yeah. You're right, a bit more to the left. Yeah. You know what I'm actually going to do too is I know that I think on some of Google's sites they have a similar setup with the search icon here. I'm going to check it out. Since I am going by material design guidelines, sometimes I do like to look like, okay, well, how did Google implement this? And so I'll check out one of their sites just to give me some visual reference for how they interpreted the material design guidelines in their own sites. So that's, if you like material design and you want to use it, I recommend doing that. Like check out Google sites that use material design and just get ideas, because documentation doesn't cover every use case possible. Sometimes it's nice to see how it's been adapted. John says, in SAS 2, in the JavaScript style strings in React, as far as I know, you can't use SAS in the JavaScript style string. So let me go back to this just to give some reference to what we're talking about. So this in JSX, you can check out, there's actually, this is on GitHub. I'm trying to think where the repo is. I can't remember what the repo is called, but basically, on my other screen, I'm just going to look it up real quick. At this time, I don't think there's support for Sass in here, but I have seen, maybe it was in a GitHub issue or something, I've seen a discussion about enabling something like that inside of here, but I don't think it's enabled right now. Not to say it's not possible, but I just haven't seen it done. And here's the GitHub repo for that. It's styled JSX. So it's the same people that do Next. So Zeit is the company that does Next. So look up styled JSX. And this will let you know basically what it can and can't do. And I think maybe there was one of the issues for this did bring up that aspect. So I would really actually like to use Sass as well. Or at least some of the even if they couldn't implement all of Sass, some of the features would be nice. Francesca says, the search icon is a functional icon element, so visibility is key. We want to help our users at all times in a way they don't have to think about what they have to do. Don't make me think principle. All right, good advice. Bill says, John, it's a part of Next.js, I believe. Style JSX is what they talk about in the docs. All right, so Bill answered it before I even did. So John says, so Sass is possible. Cool thing. I don't really know. So once again, I don't really know for sure if Sass is possible. I think it is. It's just not been implemented. So I'm sure they might be open, to a pull request to try to implement it. All right, getting towards the end of the live chat comments. So just in case you're still sticking around and you're not really worried about the live chat, I'm not going to do any more coding. So if you want to take off now, feel free. Thanks for watching. Otherwise, if you have any more questions, I'm getting towards the end, so get your questions in now before I wrap things up. And or you could direct message me on Twitter, or you could put it in the comments to this video. If you're watching the recording, put it in the comments or message me on Twitter or whatever other social media you prefer. I've actually had people email me things too, so I'm not opposed to that. If you find my phone number and call me, though, I probably won't answer, but if you leave a message, I'll listen to it. Sebastian's here. Okay, so Sebastian is a regular viewer here, and also has given me some great tips on sending me error screenshots of errors he's gotten on my site, which has been super helpful. So Sebastian, basically you just missed me working on this search input, just styling it. So I mean, that's all. At the beginning I talked a little bit about adding images into these cards, and I've done that on another branch, but that's pretty much it. Probably doing too much talking and not enough coding, to be honest with you. But Colonel Zoom, or I guess, but that's with an X and not a Z, says, I'm having trouble understanding the grid layout and how to place things, like a line of text next to images or other text. If you are using Materialize with the columns and rows, let me check out the repo. Okay, so you'll be able to see obviously the Materialize documentation might have some explanation, but if you want real world examples, check out my repo. The link is in the description. Or pretty much all of my projects for the last year or so have been using Materialize, so they'll all have examples. But just to show you quickly how this works, let me show you a section that does put images next to text, just to give you an idea. Courses. Yeah, all right, so in courses I do. So subsection down to the bottom. I know I have some down the bottom. This is a mess. I can't wait to move all this junk out into WordPress and just pull that in. So here I have a section, all right, which you don't really need the section, and I have a container, and the container is basically just for adding like padding on the sides. And I've modified this a bit because I didn't like the normal container padding, like how wide it was. So I added this class wide container that it makes it a little bit wider. So that's my class. This comes with Materialize, and now what we have in here is a row. So this is how you get the columns and everything to work. So basically you have a row. You usually don't have a row on its own. It's usually wrapped in a container or at least a section. But so you have your row, and then within your row you have columns. Okay, so the first column I have is on small screens, it takes up the whole space. And on medium-sized screens, which is anything over 600 pixels, it takes up half the space, because there's only 12 columns, half of 12 is 6, right? So this is something I added that's custom. It basically just changes the order of the image and the text on a mobile so that I always have the image on the top and the text below. And then on a big screen, they're staggered. So one section has image and text, like text first, image second. The other section has image first, text second. So you won't have this by default, but if you see it and look at my code, that's what it's doing. So this is the first section, and then this is the second section. And if your screen is larger than 600 pixels, they will show up one right after the other. So the text will show up on the right-hand side, and on the left-hand side will be the image, and they'll both take up half the screen. But then if you have a small screen, the text, well, normally what would happen is whatever you put first would be on top, and what you put second would be on the bottom, both taking up the full width. In this case, I have changed the order, like I just explained, because I wanted consistency when people are scrolling on mobile. That's how the basic columns work in Materialize. If you wanted to have like this be 75% width and this be 25%, I could change this M6 to M9 and change this M6 to M3, and that would give me that. And you know, as long as what you have here between these two add up to 12, no more than 12, then you're good. And they'll be side by side. So hopefully that answered your question. Let me know if it didn't, or send me a direct message or something, and I could explain it in more depth. Maybe I'll do a video on stuff like this, since I use Materialize frequently. Maybe I could do a little video just on Materialize. Okay, Sebastian says, center it looks kind of weird like that. Alright, so let me bring this back up since we're talking about this. Okay, so the search thing, he's saying center it looks weird like that. Okay, so I'm definitely going to do something with this, because we have a lot of people saying basically do something with it. Either center it or take it back to half, or so something is going to happen with that. Francesca said, thank you. I like your name also, Jesse. Thanks. James says, as a software tester, I have to agree the search is a bit large. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so that will definitely shrink up. I'm not going to shrink it up too much, but maybe like 4 pixels, somewhere around there. I'll see how it looks. Thor's here. Thor says, hey Thor. Actually, now that Thor's here, this reminds me, I have a question for you all. So, I have a major project that's coming up. So I did mention I had meetings this morning. So basically, like, my work life for the next year is all booked up as far as at Franciscan University where I work is concerned. So I guess that's good because I'll know what's coming. But I do have a huge project that's on the horizon, and maybe even not this year. That might be next year. But what I need to happen, at least what I would hope was happen, I have a database that is feeding data to a site that's running a content management system called Ectron. Okay? Not my choice to use Ectron. I inherited it when I started working here. I want to move the content over to WordPress. Since we're already using WordPress for a lot of our content, it would be easy to be able to teach like our student workers to use WordPress, and then they could know how to update all the content. So the idea is it possible? Is there some way, and how hard would it be to move the data out of that Electron database and then move it into another database that WordPress is going to use, but move it in such a way that it will be structured in the normal WordPress way, so WordPress will understand it. I don't know very much at all about databases, so I don't know if what I'm describing even makes sense to do. If you have some experience and you're watching this either live right now or later on in recording, please let me know. Direct message me or put it in the comments or something, because it will save a lot of time and money if we can do that. And to be honest with you, like I think I could probably talk my bosses into paying someone to do it. So if you know how to do that and you're interested, let me know. Also, actually, I just remembered this from our meeting. I had a meeting yesterday morning as well, and I was given an award for this website that I'm working on right now. It's a Spirit Award, so it's not like a really big deal thing, but it's cool. You get like a $50 award and a piece of paper describing what a good job you did. So that was cool. It's nice to be recognized for doing a good job. It was actually my boss nominated me for it, so that was pretty cool. All right, back to the live chat questions. I want to get through these. Yeah. Oh man, I've already gone an hour and a half. I need to like set alarms and timers to work on getting my live stream times down to something more manageable that's not as intimidating to watch the recordings. So hopefully I don't forget over the weekend, and I remember to really set some timers and quit. Really force myself to stop at some point. Rohan says, yeah, I usually use Chrome console using USB to my Xperia, also USB-C type cable. Google has some space between end of icon and end of line. Oh, okay. So those are two different thoughts. I ran them together. So he said Google has some space between of icon and end of line. Okay, that's why what I thought. That's why I did it like that. If like there's a little bit of space. Because, like I said, it's been somewhat recently, at least recent enough for me to remember that I did a very similar input to this on a site, and I remember looking it up and that Google had some space. So that's why I added the space. So I'll double check though and maybe try to make it as close as possible. Since I'd like to stick to material design as much as I can for consistency's sake across all of my sites and for the users, so that a lot of people are exposed to material design. So if I use those same design patterns, I think there's an increased chance of a user automatically knowing what to do because they're familiar with it. I like that idea. I think, yeah, it's cool sometimes to experiment and make an amazing looking site, but sometimes when you do that, users have no idea. Like if you look at like the top design sites that win the awards, they look amazing and they do cool things, but a lot of time, at least me, when I go to them, I have no idea how to use them at first. So that's not what I want for this site. Maybe just messing around on the side, I could do crazy things, but that's one of the reasons why I just stick with material design and don't really branch off, and I modify it when I have to. When there's not some explicit direction, I'm doing some type of component that's not mentioned in the docs. But anyway, I don't even know. I feel like I went off on a tangent there, so I'm going to get back to the live chat. Patrick said, by the way, what I said about Sass and Next is wrong. It looks like they are supporting script JSX type equals text/Sass, but I'm not sure how far the support has come yet. All right, awesome, Patrick. Good to know. So a question earlier, I think John had the question earlier. I don't know if he's still in the live chat, but yeah, it looks like he's still in there. So it looks like maybe Sass support is on the way, or maybe like somewhat supported. So that's really good to know. I might check that out and try to use it, because I like to use Sass when I can on projects. Okay, someone mentioned the IRC channel. In case you haven't heard, there's an IRC channel now. Like continue this discussion on the live chat later on. It's like hashtag FCC Jesse, and that's running at what is it, Freenode. So I don't really know very much at all about IRC, so I can't really help you get things set up. I'm just learning with the help of some people like Rohan and Thor here that are in the live chat, and so. I try to log in as much as I can. I keep getting logged out all the time, though, and not seeing things. So I just need to do a little bit more research and figure out how to best use IRC. But if I'm in there and you have questions, I'll do my best to answer them as well. Or the other people in there are actually really knowledgeable, more knowledgeable than me, and they can help you as well. John says, thanks for the info on SAS, Jesse and Patrick. You're welcome. Patrick really did the work and found the right answer, so I appreciate that, Patrick. Andrew asks, Node is the only way to do server-side rendering? What do you do when having another language on the back end? Rohan answered, you could do server-side rendering in any language. Yeah, that's my understanding too, is that you can do, I mean, if you think about it, like a regular like WordPress site uses PHP and it renders using PHP on the server side, right? So the same way with like if you're using like .NET Framework stuff, you know, everything, it gets rendered there on the server side. So that's actually like the traditional way of doing websites. The benefit to using Node and React, at least the way I am, is that I render, the first load is rendered server side. So it's a nice fast first load. It's just like a static HTML page gets sent, and search engines can see that. So that's the main reason. But then after that first load, all the additional routes, so when I click on an internal link, that is actually all done client side. So you have the best of both worlds. So you have the routing without a page refresh that's super fast on the client side, but then you also get the SEO benefits and the quick loading benefits of that. So that's why I do it. Maybe it could be done to where you don't have to use Node, and you could, I don't know, can you run React with other stuff on the back end and do it kind of like this? I don't know enough about it to know like if I could run React and render React with PHP. I don't really know. But you can definitely do it with other languages, and that seems to be, we had some other people give the same answer there in the live chat. Colonel says, and I do this within the same row? Yes, you do. So he's responding to when I was demonstrating the column. Sorry I'm late with that. There's a delay on the video, so it's not exactly real time when I can respond to you, like what you're seeing. Also, I was answering some other questions too. So if you're whatever you are seeing is actually like what I just said like a minute ago. So that's why it might be a little off as to when I'm explaining things or answering questions. Inside the Matrix says, I like that name. It says, sorry, I'm new. Is WordPress com or org? So if you're not familiar with WordPress, there's WordPress.com and WordPress.org. One is like you can go there and just get a site up and running, and like WordPress takes care of all the hosting and everything like that, and you just do your blogging, and it has limited functionality in terms of what plugins and customizations you can do. The other one is you can download the entire CMS onto your server for free and set it up and run it however you want and customize it however you want. I can't remember I think the self-hosted version is .org, and the .com is the version that they host. So correct me if I'm wrong with that, but that's and I'm not even sure if that answers your question right way inside the Matrix, but hopefully it does. Rowan says, I don't know about how both CMS handle databases, but it can be done. Oh, okay, so this is in response to my question about databases, and And Thor also had a response earlier, and I just now realized it was in response to that. It says, if both systems have an API, it would probably work. Okay. I'll have to look into that. So let's say one system doesn't have an API. So the WordPress API, I already know how to input data with the WordPress API, so I didn't even think about that, but that's doable. I don't know if the other database has an API. I was reading the documentation, and it said there was some sort of API, but after comparing the documentation of how it's supposed to be implemented and how this CMS was actually implemented, I'm referring to the Ectron CMS that I was talking about earlier. It seems like there were some things that were recommended in the documentation that weren't implemented. And I don't know for sure, because this was done before I was here. A lot of the work was done by an outside company, and some of the work was done by an employee who's no longer here. So I'm really having to figure things out on my own and just go through the code and just try to figure out what happened. So would it be possible then, and I'm sure it probably is, to build my own API that pulls from that database if there's not one already? Maybe that is the real answer to that. All right, Thor says, Sebastian says you could get the data from the database and post it to WP. Thor thinks that's probably not a good idea. Rohan says database level is easy but not a great idea. All right, thanks for that, because I was thinking originally just on the database level, but I hadn't even considered the API. That seems more doable for me because I'm familiar with working with APIs a lot more so than I'm familiar with working straight with the database. So this is really, really helpful for me. Okay, so Thor has clarified the .com is the hosted instances, and the .org is when you host it yourself. So I think I had it backwards. Okay. Honestly, if you just type in one or the other, you'll find out really quickly which one is which. Oh, okay. Rohan said, congratulations, that's amazing. And I'm like, wait, what's amazing? What did I miss? And that must have been when I was talking about getting the award. It's called a Spirit Award. So, yeah, I mean, it's not the Spirit, it's a pretty common thing. A lot of employees do get it. But, I've been here for almost 2 years, and I've only gotten it once before. So, yeah, so, I mean, I was happy. I mean, any little thing of showing appreciation is... that's awesome when that happens. And not that my boss didn't already let me know that he appreciated it. But, yeah, the award was nice. And the extra $50 is nice. I mean, considering all the extra work I put in, it's not much compared to that. But it's still cool. It lets me know that, my bosses care. Let's see. Francesca says CMS to CMS.com can migrate Ectron to WordPress. Wait, are you serious? Francesca, you might be my favorite person of the day if that can work, because I had never heard that. So I am definitely going to check that out. If there's a system that already does this, then you have no idea. Literally... the main thing stopping me from completely redoing our main university site, see, it's franciscan.edu. Right now, the site runs on Ectron, which is super old, and it's really hard for people to update the content, and it loads all this stuff all the time. And I've been trying to go through it and just manually edit templates and things to make it faster, but it's just it takes a long time to accomplish little things. So I want to totally redo it and do it like I did this CI site, the Catechetical Institute site, with React and the backend be WordPress, and make it just really fast. So the one thing stopping me from doing that was the idea of who is going to move all this content. There are well over 3,000 pages to this site. There's a ton of content. So we were thinking we're going to have to hire some student workers and pay them, have them work a ton of hours to do this. and I'm not thrilled about the idea of people copying and pasting content. So anyway, so thank you very much, Francesca. I just went to this site. So here's the site. So this actually looks really cool. I'm definitely going to check out this site. And this is not an official endorsement of the site. I haven't even looked at their page yet. So just so you know, I always feel like I need to give a disclaimer when I talk about some paid service. Like I'm not making money off of this, and I'm not officially endorsing it. And that's it. I actually don't make money off of anything. If anybody ever wants to use an affiliate link from me because like you appreciate what I'm doing and want to help me out, then that's cool. Let me know. But otherwise, I'm not going to push that kind of thing. Let's see. Does someone use Typo3? TYPO3? I don't use it. I've actually never heard of it. So Andrew asked that. John says he does, or John says he's here. All right, cool. Because I'd asked John if he was still here. So I just wanted you to hear some of the answers to the stuff you had asked. Rohan says try IRC Cloud for Android. Awesome, I will do that. I'll try to download that app. Rohan says I had a complicated setup previously, but now I just moved to using IRC Cloud on Android. Sweet, that would actually be good, and then I could get the messages anywhere, and I don't have to be at a computer. I tried to use some like command line client, and I wasn't exactly sure. I must not have set it up right because it wasn't working correctly for me. I didn't really have time to read the documentation thoroughly, so. Thor also says for Android, Atomic is awesome for IRC. Sebastian says, what app to use for the IRC for Windows? Thor says HexChat is good. And once again, I'm not like, I haven't used any of these things, so I don't know. I'm just reading out the live chat for those of you who are going to be watching this later on so that you can get the benefit of the live chat without actually being here. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can't see the live chat on the recorded videos, right? If I'm wrong about that, then I may be wasting my time by reading all these out, but I'm pretty sure you can't. All right, almost to the end here, so probably wrap this up in maybe like 5 minutes or less. IRSSI is mentioned here. Rohan mentions that, and that one's for Linux. Okay, Inside the Matrix said yes. That answered my question. Awesome. I'm glad I could help out there. Rohan says it's free with donation, so IRSSI for Linux, free with donation. And he says it's also available for Mac too, he thinks. Thor says for Linux, he prefers WeChat. That's actually, I think WeChat might be the one that I tried to download and use. I got it all loaded and I started it up and everything, and then I kind of hit a wall and couldn't get it to work any further than that. It says they're not available for Windows though. Thor says, I guess CMS to CMS is just people doing it, but not sure. Like the people are doing it for you. James says, you are correct. Okay, so that's actually somebody doing it. I'm cool with that. Like I said, it's definitely worthwhile to pay for this to be done because otherwise it's going to cost a lot of money either way, I think. Unless I level up my skills and figure out how to migrate it in a way that's really easy, which I'm not opposed to. I like learning new things. I just am not confident that I can do it in a way that it would be efficient and really work correctly. I'd much rather have somebody who has a lot of experience do that because if something were to happen to that content, it would be disastrous. It's quite a bit of content. Yeah, Sebastian says, I don't think it's copy and paste by humans. So, Oh, okay. Sebastian said it says 15-minute migration on average. We're talking about the site CMS to CMS.com that Francesca had recommended for migrating databases from one CMS to the other. It says 15-minute migration on average, full-scale CMS in a matter of 15 minutes. Yeah, actually, that makes me think it. There's got to be some automated stuff going on somewhere along the way, right? I mean, I'm sure there are people that are. It's not like you click a button and enter info and it automatically happens, but anyway, I'll have to check that out a little bit more. So, like I said, that's not a project. That's actually not one of the projects that we had talked about in our meeting earlier today for the upcoming year. But it is a project that I think is like within the next 2 years. It should I think it should happen. In my opinion, the most important project is the main site project because that gets like by far the most traffic. But that's not the opinion of people higher up. So, probably not gonna be able to work on that right now. Umberto says, I make buttons that you click once and a day's worth of work is done. That is awesome. that is a good skill. All right, that's the end of the live chat, so I'm going to wrap this up because this ended up being nearly a 2-hour video despite my intentions. So today's Friday, right? So yeah, today is Friday, so I will be back on Monday. And Monday will be the last week before I'm on vacation. So the week after I'll be on vacation. And I don't know if I'll be able to stream or not. It depends on the internet and on like what's going on. I should probably take a little break on vacation, but we'll see. I mean, maybe it'll be like really rainy. I'm going to the beach, so maybe it'll be rainy and I'll be inside, and maybe I'll do a stream or something. So, all right, yeah. Hey, have a great weekend. Everybody's saying bye in the live stream. So I really appreciate everyone watching and all the great questions and the great advice. And yeah, so I think we're starting to develop like a nice little community that's helping each other here, and I think that's really awesome. So a lot of very knowledgeable people are contributing to make this stream so much better than it could be if it was just me, and I really appreciate that. Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for watching. So I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to try to write down all the suggestions that you guys gave, so I don't forget it over the weekend. And yeah, so thanks, and I'll see you on Monday.